It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the Morning Star Drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tuesday, July 20th, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening today on this wonderful Tuesday? We got some coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, and of course, looking into the book of Romans. All right. So, how are you guys doing today? Monday is over. It is Tuesday, and I hope you guys are enjoying this amazing week. Really thankful that you guys have joined us here on the Morning Star Drive, so keep liking and commenting, and want to hear from you guys and see how you're doing. Yes, guys, can you believe it? It's already the 20th. The 20th of July. You know what that means, guys? We're in the last third of the month, which basically means that August is 10 days away. It's a week, less than a week and a half, as crazy as that sounds. We're going to be hitting August pretty soon. So it's quite a scary thing, if more than anything else. I'm just like, what? Time is going by so quickly. We are already way past the halfway mark of 2021. We're going to the last bit. So I hope you guys are really, I don't even know what to say. Because if it's August already, it means we're in the second, no, it's not the second quarter, fourth. Yeah, the second quarter will be ending. We'll be moving to the third quarter of the year. Oh my gosh. I hope that you guys are really taking a lot of realizations from this week's message of what we really need to do right now, and I hope that you guys can follow those 3 steps for this week. Tonight we have a new vlog coming up. Not a vlog. Tonight's actually a Lab 78. So it will be a live show, 7:30 p.m. in Malaysia time, which is 8:30 p.m. in Korea. In America, it's either 4:30 a.m. or 1:30 a.m. So I don't think you guys will be watching it over on that side. Also, last Sunday edition, we met who? We met Tien Dao from San Francisco, all the way over there in America. My goodness, what an amazing testimony he has about his son, tumor in his brain. Okay, so that's just got to listen to what actually happened. It was an amazing story. I don't know what to say. Amazing story. So I hope you guys really enjoy it. So make sure to check out the Sunday edition this week. Last night, we had the Monday Zoom Bible study, and that will be posted on Patreon today. All right, so that means let's get this show started on the road on this awesome Tuesday. What is happening? We'll start with the featured artist of the day. Today's featured artist is Juestar Aiden Verdi from New Zealand, and this song is Cameron Fry Takes a Stand. And of course, the name Cameron Fry comes from the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so this is something that's very warm to my heart more than anything else. Second song is Kumachang from Japan, and this is a song that we haven't played much. It's called Alt Air, okay? So I don't think I've ever played this, but it's been on his SoundCloud for a while now. So this is Kumachang, a new song for us here on the Morning Star Drive. That's Alt Air. And last but not least, the third song is PGY from PMA in Korea, and this song is Dear God of the Universe. So as we move into day 50 of the 70-day prayer condition, 20 days left, guys. Just make sure that we make it count. And each and every day, make sure you give a little prayer to all the member artists from around the world.
Take the heat. I'm ready to take a stand. I'm not gonna stand for this being pushed around again. I hate to see you kiss your car and then you go and hate your girl. So hit me with all you've got, 'cause I'm ready to face you now. I'm ready to take the heat. I'm ready to take a stand. I'm not gonna stand for this being pushed around again. I hate to see you kiss your car and then you go and hate your girl. So hit me with all you've got, 'cause I'm ready to face you now. I made myself small. I hit myself small. I hid in a corner. I played the good girl. Not this time, no longer. I made myself small. I hid in a corner. I played the good girl. Not this time, no longer. I'm ready to take the heat. I'm ready to take a stand. I'm not gonna stand for this, being pushed around again. I hate to see you kiss your car. I know you go and hate your girl. So hit me with all you got, 'cause I'm ready to face you now. I'm ready to face you. I'm ready to. I'm ready to. I'm ready.
星たちが僕らの行く道を照らしたいくつもの時を超え輝き続ける変わらないあなたの願いだった二度と戻らないこの時を
우주의 어둠을 함의하고 있었지. 언제부터 그렇게 스스로를 가렸니? 언제부터 그렇게 아름다웠니? 너와 함께 있으면 난 도망치고 싶어. 혼자 있으면 네가 보고 싶어. 두려운 무릎 쓰고 오늘도 집을 나선다. 용기 내어 디딘 발걸음마저 모든 게 너에겐 실수가 되었어. 너는 나만큼 괴로워하지 않아. 너는 나만큼 언제나 너와 함께 있고 싶었어. 함께 있는 모든 시간이 행복했어. 너의 어둠 속에 파묻히고 싶었어. 너의 모든 걸 따라하고 싶었어. 나도 너처럼 아름다워지고 그리고 너에게 다가가고 싶었어. 너도 나에게 다가오길 기다렸는데 어쩌다 이렇게 멀어진 걸까. 너와 함께 있으면 난 도망치고 싶어. 혼자 있으면 네가 보고 싶어. 두려운 무릎 쓰고 오늘도 고개를 오른다. 달이 내려앉은 너의 하늘 아래 다시 난 그렇게 혼자가 되었어. 나도 나만큼 너만큼만이라도 아름답다면 신비롭다면 달았으려나. 지금도 못한 것처럼 너의 앞에서 난 없는 것과 다름없지만 그래서 억울하고 또 화도 나지만 널 미워하지 않기로 했어. 여전히 널 많이 좋아하니까. 온통 까만 너의 눈동자 속에 빛나는 우주를 올려다보았어. 나는 너만큼 아름답지가 않아. 예쁘지 않아.
And there you go. That is PGY from PMA in Korea, and that song is Dear God of the Universe. Before that was Kumachang from Japan, a new song we haven't heard here on the Morning Star Drive. That's Alt Air, and the featured artist of the day is Juice Eden Verdi from New Zealand with Cameron Fry Takes a Stand. All right, so let's get into some news going on around the world. Let's start off with the coronavirus updates. 191.2 million cases, 4.1 million deaths at a 2.15% mortality rate. Top 5 countries going by. Daily infection rates, we have India, 31.1 million cases, 414,000 deaths. Brazil, 19.3 million cases, 542,000 deaths. Russia, 5.9 million cases, 148,000 deaths. UK, strong in fourth with 5.4 million cases, 128,000 deaths. And of course, Indonesia rounds up the top 5 with 2.8 million cases, 73,000 deaths. Now, let's take a look at those same countries and what are their daily infection rates. And UK, for second day in a row, they are on top with 48,000 cases in a day, and Indonesia, 44,000. India at 38 Brazil at 34, and then Russia at 25,000 cases in a single day. Over here in Southeast Asia, of course, like we just said, Indonesia is at 44,000. Malaysia drops to 10K, and then the Philippines drops down to 5,400 cases in a single day. So that is the coronavirus news. So let's get into the current news. We're going to top 3 news around the world, going around the world. We're going to start off with England, the UK. July 19th was a day restrictions were eased, but the Prime Minister Boris Johnson urges caution, right? As most legal restrictions on social contact are lifted in England, there are now no limits on how many people can meet or attend events. Nightclubs can reopen, and table service will not be necessary in pubs and restaurants. Face coverings will be recommended in some spaces, but not required by law. The Prime Minister, Chancellor, and the Health Secretary are self-isolating, and there are warnings that cases will surge, and some scientists are predicting that UK infections, currently at around 50,000 a day, could reach up to 200,000 a day later in the summer. Now, with more than 68% of the UK adults fully vaccinated, modeling suggests hospital admissions, serious illness, and deaths from the coronavirus will be at lower levels than in earlier peaks. And in a video posted on Twitter on Sunday afternoon, the Prime Minister said now was the right moment to move to the final stage of England's roadmap out of lockdown. Those of you who don't know, once they hit 70%, that should be kind of at herd immunity, where it shouldn't be spreading as quickly, which is great news, right? That is actually really, really great news, and I hope that that's something that we can look forward to. And basically, he said that Boris Johnson said, if we don't do it now, we've got to ask ourselves, when will we ever do it, right? And he's saying that adding that the virus would have the advantage of the cold weather in the autumn and winter. So they've got to do it cautiously, but they've got to remember that this virus is sadly still out there, and cases are rising because of the Delta variant. As restrictions ease in England, businesses such as nightclubs, large events will be encouraged to use the NHS COVID pass to check people who are fully vaccinated, and contact tracing and self-isolation requirements will remain in place. So the UK-wide guidance recommending against travel to amber list countries is also being removed. Adults who have been fully vaccinated in the UK will not have to self-isolate for 10 days after visiting these countries, with the exception of those returning from France to England, Scotland, or Wales, because of concerns over the spread of the beta variant of the virus, right? So Scotland is easing restrictions so that pubs and restaurants can open until midnight, but limits on outdoor meetings will remain. The return of workers to offices will be delayed, and face coverings will still be mandatory, right? So that is great news, but also interesting that they're number 1 right now in cases per day. But because 68% is fully vaccinated, that means that we should see some different results than before. And the second news for today, we're going to go over to China. Well, we're going to go into Asia because it seems like China's vaccines, they're kind of that vaccine success is waning in Asia. So across Asia, Chinese vaccines have played a crucial role in immunizing people against coronavirus, with millions receiving either a Sinovac or a Sinopharm jab. But in recent weeks, interestingly, concerns have grown about their efficacy. Now, some Asian countries, which made Chinese vaccines a key plank in their immunization programs, have announced they will use other jabs. So the move has raised questions not only about whether China's vaccines can be trusted, but also about its attempts at vaccine diplomacy in Asia. So what's happening? Let's take a look at what's happening in Thailand and Indonesia. Last week, Thailand announced it was changing its vaccine policy. Instead of receiving 2 Sinovac shots, residents will now get a mix of Sinovac and AstraZeneca. Healthcare workers who are already fully vaccinated with Sinovac will also get a different jab as a booster shot. In Indonesia, they announced a similar move the previous week, saying it was giving Moderna booster shots to healthcare workers immunized with Sinovac. So the decisions followed reports that hundreds of fully vaccinated healthcare workers had caught COVID, with some of them, 2 in Thailand and already 30 in Indonesia, have died. So both countries, which have seen slow rollouts of their vaccination programs, have been battling new outbreaks. Thailand is now reporting record high numbers of infections and deaths, while Indonesia, the new epicenter of COVID in Asia, has seen overcrowded hospitals and oxygen shortages. Now, the 2 countries said they were making the switch to increase protection, and Thai officials cited local studies which showed mixing vaccines could boost immunity. Indonesia's tourism minister, Sandiaga Uno, also recently told the BBC the Sinovac vaccine was quite effective, but by choosing to switch vaccines, the Thai and Indonesian governments were essentially saying they are concerned about vaccine failure, right? And this is from Dale Fisher, who heads the WHO Global Outbreak Alert and Response Network. However, he also cautioned that there was not enough information about the healthcare workers' infections and deaths and urged authorities to conduct a thorough investigation. So Sinovac has yet to comment. But since then, here in Malaysia also announced it was switching to Pfizer's vaccine after it finished its Sinovac supplies. Those of you who don't know what's happening in Malaysia right now is half of the Sinovac supplies are all done. So they're going to stop using Sinovac, and the rest is all going to be Pfizer and other vaccines. But other countries like the Philippines and Cambodia are continuing to use Chinese vaccines. So are the Chinese vaccines effective? We talked about this a little bit last week, but in clinical trials across the world, Sinovac and Sinopharm's inactivated virus vaccines have been shown to be 50% to 79% effective in preventing symptomatic COVID infection, Sinovac being 50%. But they are still highly effective in preventing COVID hospitalizations or deaths, which is really good. And studies found that Sinovac's jabs was 100% effective in Brazil and 96 to 98% effective among Indonesian medical workers. Now, the fact that there are still numerous breakthrough infections in fully vaccinated people could be due to several factors, and this is from the epidemiologist Professor Benjamin Cowling of Hong Kong University. He says the first factor is that Chinese vaccines, like many other vaccines, may wane in efficacy over time. So a Thai study released this week found that antibodies in those fully vaccinated with Sinovac declined by half every 40 days. Another reason is that clinical trials had smaller data sets compared to real-world infections, particularly in Indonesia, which is seeing soaring daily infections numbering in the tens of thousands. And of course, it could also be due to the more infectious Delta variant, which has been detected in 60% of recent cases in Indonesia and 26% of cases in Bangkok, Thailand, right? And, there's no public data yet on the Chinese vaccine's efficacy against any of the COVID variants, but preliminary studies have suggested that inactivated virus vaccines like Sinopharm and Sinovac could offer 20% less protection against the Delta variant than against the original virus, right? So no vaccine is fully effective in preventing coronavirus infection. And while the Chinese vaccines are not 100% effective, they are still saving many lives. So experts stress that breakthrough infections do not mean vaccines are pointless, as immunization helps to stop people from getting very sick with coronavirus, right? So that is what's going on with the coronavirus in Asia right now with the Chinese vaccine. So if you have a Sinovac, Sinopharm, it's something that you do want to keep in mind. Last on this world news, number 3 is Tokyo Olympics. First COVID cases in Athletes Village, and Team Great Britain have 8 self-isolating. So 2 South African footballers have become the first competitors to test positive for coronavirus in the Athletes Village in Tokyo. And this is 5 days before the start of the Olympic Games. Meanwhile, 6 athletes and 2 staff members from Team Great Britain's athletics teams are self-isolating after being identified as close contacts of an individual who tested positive upon their arrival. So South Africa, you have 2 people on their football team, plus a video analyst that are quarantining right now. And of course, another athlete from outside the village tested positive on Sunday too. And also for South Africa, the Sevens rugby coach was tested positive on Sunday, and he's isolating in Kagoshima, where the squad is based. And in total, organizers said that on Sunday, they reported 10 new cases connected to the Olympics, including media, contractors, and other personnel, and that compares with 15 new cases on the day before. So infection rates in Japan, in the general population, is rising. It's over 1,000 cases for 4 consecutive days. And of course, polls show that many Japanese people oppose holding the games with the influx of overseas visitors coming in. Tokyo 2020 spokesman Masa Takaya said the 3 cases were from same country and same sport, so they are isolated. So it doesn't seem like it's a spread, but it's all coming from the same country. But that is what is happening right now when it comes to the Tokyo Olympics. Now let's move on to sports news, okay? 3 things I really want to talk about. Number 1 is the Open 2021 Championships men's golf. It is Colin Morikawa. He wins at Royal St. George's Golf Course. And this guy's 24 years old, guys. This guy's amazing. Bogey-free final round to clinch the claret jug on his Open Championship debut. First time doing it, and he won. This American wrestled hold of the lead with 3 birdies to finish the front 9 and held off the charging Jordan Spieth to win by 2 strokes on the Kent Coast. 24 years old, guys. First major was a USPGA Championship last year on his debut, and then becomes the first Open debut to win since Ben Curtis did so at this course in 2003. And I believe he's the only person who's won the Open plus the US Championship before they're 25. Him and Tiger Woods are the only 2. And then second, we have the U.S. men's basketball team. They build momentum with a win over Spain, which is last Olympics champion. and they won 83-76 on Sunday night, and that's their final exhibition game before heading into Tokyo. And after falling behind by as many as 9 points in the first half, Team USA showed off its shooting muscle in the second half and started to resemble the type of squad that coach Greg Popovich envisioned when picking the roster. Last but not least, yes, we got news from US versus Canada in the Gold Cup. No, the US beats Canada 1-0, and Shaq Moore's early goal, and when we say early, it was 20 seconds into the game he scored, and then that was the game winner in this Group B finale. And Moore's goal was the fastest in Gold Cup history and the fastest for the U.S. since Clint Dempsey scored in 30 seconds against Ghana in the 2014 World Cup opener. Both the U.S. and Canada have already assured advancing, so the U.S. finished atop its first round group. And they will play in the quarterfinals against the loser of Costa Rica and Jamaica. And then Canada finished second with 2 wins and 1 loss. And it will play the winner of the Costa Rica-Jamaica match. So that is the sports news for today. And that is the end of the world news. So we're going to get into something a little bit more spiritual. We're going to go into this golden time, right? I think we made this name from yesterday. The golden time. We're going to get a bit more spiritual. We're going to start off with Today As I Follow the Lord, and then into Connection, and then we'll end off with Because Jehovah Is My Love. That's a new song that just came out on the IETT site, on the YouTube channel. So guys, please enjoy this time, and make sure we give glory with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength as we do it as one body of the Morning Star Drive.
Following the Lord again today, never changing, I have walked this path. I don't look back on the times of old, I don't look back. No, I will not ever look back. Singing the songs of this new history as we serve the Lord we love. There's no regret as we follow this road of providence. History goes round and round again. Providence, history repeats again. There's only a thick cloud of grief in the times of old. All that's left is a cloud of grief. The trumpet call of this new history as we think about the Lord. There's no regret as we proclaim and shout out the word. I've been fond of Providence Hill. Just like heaven, I long for it so. The sun shines brightly on the road that I must take, shining on this road to heaven above. The word of truth, the word of true love seeps deep into my soul. There's no regret walking this road now and evermore. The word of truth, the word of true love seeps deep into my soul. There's no regret walking this road now and brushing by. But if skin brushes skin, will they just merely connect? That will make them turn into lovers. If clothing brushes clothes, it could last for 10 years. But if it's skin to skin, 100 years. If it's our hearts that touch them together, we should live for 1,000 years. Two people may connect just by brushing by. But if skin brushes skin, will they just merely connect? That will make them turn into lovers. If clothing brushes clothes, it could last for 10 years. But if it's skin to skin, 100 years. If it's our hearts that touch them together, we should live for 1,000 years. So then, if we are brushed by God, how many years should we remain by His side, living together? Years aren't enough to measure. We must live forever, tied to each other, always together We'll live in perfect Jehovah God is my love, my everything. That is why He is always here with me. God leads me to the places where He will fulfill His will.
And there it is, a brand new song, Because Jehovah Is My Love in English. Before that was Connection, and of course that first song is Today As I Follow the Lord. All right, guys, so let's get into word study for today. Today is Tuesday, which means that we are not going to go over the Sunday message. Tuesdays is, we're going to go over the scriptures for the week, and we're going to go into the book of Romans. There were three reference scriptures, but we're going to go into the book of Romans today, right? Now, so let's talk about the book of Romans in the New Testament. Now, this is Paul's letter to the Romans, right? And it's been at the center of controversy, conversion, and reflection since the days it was written, right? So the accolade of this is something that is considered one of Paul's greatest books. Okay? And people say that if you're a theologian, in the early churches, usually they say the greatest theologian is either Paul or John. It's one of the two, right? St. John or St. Paul. And his letter to the Romans is no doubt Paul's crown jewel book. As we'll see, by the time he writes this letter, he would have been preaching the gospel for at least a decade or more, so he's at his peak, right? So when and where did Paul write the book of Romans? So after encountering the risen Jesus on the road to Damascus, Paul famously traveled the known world on 3 missionary journeys, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with Jews and Gentiles alike. Now, his first missionary journey, which was anywhere from like 46 to 49 AD, takes him through Central Asia Minor, which is modern-day Turkey. In his second journey, it's like from 50 to 52 AD, and he returns to this area and pushes into Greece. And then his third missionary trip, which is around 53 to 58 AD, revisits all of these same areas. Now, at the end of his third missionary journey, he spends about 3 months in Greece. And at this point, he's preparing to return to Jerusalem with aid from the Gentile churches for the Christians in the Holy Land, okay? So Paul expresses his intent to go back to Jerusalem by Pentecost, right? Which is a pilgrimage feast in late spring. And he wrote to the church in Rome during this 3-month stay in Greece. Now, he was likely in Corinth at that time. And toward the end of his third missionary journey in late 57, or you can say early 58 AD, Paul had previously spent a year and a half in Corinth during his second missionary tour with the fledgling Christians there. This 3-month stay at the end of his third missionary journey would have afforded him time to compose this monumental letter. Okay, so guys, you got to know this is the biggest achievement for Paul, which is the book of Romans. So the question is, why did he even write this book of Romans? So by the end of Paul's third missionary journey, he's returning to Jerusalem with aid for the church. Aid which comes mostly from the Gentile churches of Asia Minor and Greece. For Paul, this aid is not just about alleviating material suffering, rather it is deeply symbolic of the newfound unity that Jews and Gentiles now have in Christ. So for Paul, then it's fitting that since the Gentiles have come to share in the spiritual blessings of Israel, the Gentiles should assist their Jewish Christian brethren with material aid. Now, since Paul had never been to Rome and did not, he didn't found any churches there either, he may be hoping that the Roman Christians would likewise participate in helping out the church in Jerusalem. Secondly, Paul expresses his hope to take his missionary work west, all the way to Spain, right? And you'll see that in Romans chapter 15, but he may have hoped to utilize Rome as a basis from which to launch his Western mission. And of course, thirdly, the third reasoning is, perhaps most importantly, Paul seeks to navigate Jewish and Gentile relations in the new covenant. And from our end, it's virtually impossible to underestimate how revolutionary it would be for Jewish and Christians to come to grips with the facts that the ceremonial ritual aspects of the law of Moses are no longer necessary for salvation. And when the temple was finally destroyed in AD 70, it was literally the end of the world. Or not the world, but end of a world, right? The end of the old covenant world. Henceforth, there would be no more Levitical priesthood, no more sacrifices, no more mandatory pilgrimages to the Jerusalem temple. And this situation was exacerbated when Emperor Claudius expelled the Jews from Rome in 49 AD, and this would have expelled Jewish Christians as well. In which case, the composition of the church would have become more predominantly Gentile when this decree expired with Claudius' death in 54 AD. Now, some Jewish Christians would have returned, and consequently the demographics of the church in Rome may have moved significantly in the intervening years from a church with a significant Jewish background to one of more primarily Gentile background. Now, if Jewish Christians returned after Claudius' death, this return to a more mixed Jewish and Gentile church may have caused difficulties and tensions, For instance, Priscilla and Aquila, whom Paul met in Corinth, seem to be an example since they were of a Jewish background and expelled from Rome by Claudius, and yet they had returned to Rome by the time of Paul's writing since he greets them explicitly. Now, while the issues of Jewish and Gentile unity in Christ show up throughout the letter, they are pronounced in a practical way in Rome, in the book of Romans chapter 14, where Paul explicitly addresses issues of Jewish calendar and Jewish sensitivity regarding food laws as well as food sacrifice to idols. And presumably a combination of all three reasons are at play in Paul's motivation for writing to the Roman Christians. Now, he seems to have known lots of people there, as you'll see it by the numerous contacts he references in Romans chapter 16. And in other words, while he had never visited the church in Rome, he seems to have been very well acquainted with the pressing issues of the day for the Roman church. So, Paul returns at the very end of the letter to the phrase obedience of faith, and that's in Romans 16:26, which forms a bookend to his teaching there and at the beginning of the letter, right? So for Paul, faith is better described as faithfulness, faith working through love, as he puts it in Galatians chapter 5, verse 6, or even allegiance to the divine king, leading to a life transformed by the power of the Spirit. So our holiness is a matter of our divine life surging through us, but we truly participate and cooperate with the unfolding of this divine life within us, and that is, we truly have a role to play in the Spirit's ongoing transformation of our life. And if you look at the rest of the story after all this happens in Romans, Paul basically makes his way back to Jerusalem, eventually to be arrested there, imprisoned in Caesarea for about 2 years, and then as a Roman citizen, he appeals to Caesar and is eventually transported by boat to Rome, where he remains under house arrest for another 2 years, right? So he seems to have been released and eventually made his way to Spain. Eventually, he's arrested in Rome again and beheaded around 67 AD under Emperor Nero, and his body remains now his remains now lie under the altar of the Basilica St. Paul outside the walls. And shortly before his death, he penned these majestic words. He says in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 6 and 7, "For I am already on the point of being sacrificed. The time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith." So I hope that everyone else will be inspired by Paul, who had the courage to follow Jesus and preach the gospel to the very end, right? So that is the word study for today. That is the word study for the book of Romans, okay? So now that we have finished the word study for today, it was a little bit short today, but it was just on the book of Romans. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We're going to get into the song of choice. What is song choice for today? The song of choice is going to be a Korean song like we do on every Tuesday. This is from a TV show called Fantastic Duo, where they take a very famous singer in Korea and they match them up with an amateur who's not famous at all, and then they sing like the top songs of these singers. So this is one of Kim Bum-soo. He's like the top singer ever in Korea, they say, right? And this song is called 보고 싶다. 보고 싶다 means I miss you. We heard 보고 싶어요, right? It means that I miss you. And this is with a student, right? I believe it's a middle school student named Kim Da-mi, and I'll put the link in the description. This is Kim Bum-soo, Kim Da-mi in a fantastic duet for the song 보고 싶다.
아무리 기다려도 난 못 가 바보처럼 울고 있는 너의 곁에 상처만 주는 나를 왜 모르고 기다리니 떠나가란 말야
보고 싶다 보고 싶다 이런 내가 미워질 만큼 울고 싶다 내게 무릎 꿇고 모두 없던 일이 될 수 있다면
잊지 미칠 만큼 믿고 싶다 옳은 길이라고 너를 위해 떠나야만 한다고
미칠 듯 사랑했던 기억이 추억들이 너를 찾고 있지만 더 이상 사랑이란 변명에 너를 바꿀 수 없어 미칠 듯 사랑했던 기억이 추억들이 너를 찾고 있지만 더 이상 사랑이란 변명에 너를 가둘 수 없어
이러면 안 되지만 죽을 만큼 보고 싶다 죽을 만큼
And there it is. That is the song 보고 싶다 from Kim Bum-soo, famous singer over there in Korea. And of course, Kim Da-mi, she is a student and in this amazing show, Fantastic Duo. All right, guys, so I'm going to get into the thoughts for the week. And I was going to play a video and do a reaction to a video, but there's something that's been on my mind I'm really thinking about. And I want to start off with a question. Okay, I want to start off with the first question that I want you guys to just think about on your own is, like, are you so joyful and happy being in Providence? Right? That's a question I want to ask you guys. Are you that joyful, that happy and excited being in this history? Or do you kind of feel there's something lacking? Even though you know you've been raptured, even though you know you've been saved and everything else, do you really feel that, like, wow, this I'm actually here? Like, you know, when the first time you came to this history, it's like, whoa, this is so crazy. You know, I love being in this history. But I know that I've a lot of people wane in that feeling. And the big thing that I'm trying to, you know, the big thought that I have now is, what is your passion in Providence? You know what I mean? Like, what is the thing that drives you, that gives you meaning and says, wow, you know what? This is why God brought me here, because of this. Right? And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be something huge like a 10 million people evangelism project. No, some people are going to have that. Others aren't going to have that. Some people are going to be those like, you know what? I want to have this really amazing class in my church for Milky Ways. Or, oh, I want to really work on the SS, right? Like Pastor Joan's doing right now. Or some people are really talking about campus. Or some people talk about families. Some people talking about like leadership. Some people, you know, that for myself, it's leadership. It's always about how can we raise leadership. I'm researching, I'm studying all in my own time because I'm passionate about it. It's something that I'll do. Now, interesting thing is this. Even though I'm passionate in something that I really want to do, the interesting thing is, for some reason, there are always people who are against you, no matter what. No matter what. Yeah. There'll be people saying, oh, why are you doing this? Why don't you focus on this? Why don't you focus on that? Why are you like this? And there are people going to be saying, oh, you know, this person's just doing it. It's not even the will of God, right? I'm like, what? Is this really their will? Is it their own will or is this God's will? And it's really interesting because just the fact that they're questioning it means that they should just ask. You know what I mean? Like they should say, hey, did you pray about this and stuff? Like, yeah, I did. I got the inspiration from the Holy Spirit, right? And this is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about because I see these issues in Providence, right? And the thing that we have to understand is if you don't have that thing that's compelling you, that passionate thing that is making you like say, it gives you that fire in your heart that you really want to do this, then what happens is you don't even know what you're supposed to do here. You're just kind of doing what everyone's doing. And this is what I'm going to tell you guys right now is if you are someone who is just trying to play it safe, And what does it mean to play it safe means is not hurting anyone, just doing everything to make sure that everyone is happy. Then you will never reach the high peak of happiness and joy. And that's something I'm 100% sure about. You will never reach that peak of joy if all you're trying to do is to make everyone else happy. You'll never get to that point where you want to be. Because making everyone else happy means you're not making yourself happy. Making everyone else happy means you're not making God happy. Have you ever stopped something in the middle just because people were against it? Right? Have you ever stopped something because you think that, oh my gosh, people are coming against me. They think that, maybe this is something that Sunseam doesn't want. How do people know that? It makes no sense to me. No one knows. If someone says to me, hey, would Sunseam do it like that? And I'd ask them, well, how would Sunseam do it then? You tell me. You know what I mean? It's a weird question because it's under the assumption that they know how Sunseam would do it. But to question it would be kind of like a normal thing. Then you could question anything that a head leader or a department leader does, right? What we got to find is, what is the reason why God brought you into this history? There's got to be a reason, right? God brings you into this reason not to just be a regular member, right? What's a regular member? Well, regular member is, I'm going to say someone who's reaching mediocrity. I'm just doing the basics, just doing what there's, just doing enough of what they're supposed to do. There's nothing firing you, nothing like making you passionate to do something or want to do something better. And it's usually because you haven't found it yet, or you've been traumatized by other people coming against you or whatever it is. When people come at me with their opinions, I'm going to be very honest with you, and I'm going to say this in the lightest, this might sound harsh actually, but I'm not meaning it this harshly, but I don't care. And you're like, what? How can you not care what people think? And the answer is, it's not about everything. It's about subjective things, subjective like feelings and what I feel or think about something, which is just a thought, right? It doesn't mean it's truth. So if I'm doing something, someone says to me, I don't think you should do that. The moment they say, I don't think, means it's their thoughts. And the answer is, sure, thank you so much for your opinion or your feelings. Thank you for your thoughts. But it doesn't mean you should stop, because it's a thought. It's just a thought. It's subjective. What do you think about this? I don't like it. Okay, thank you so much. And I move forward. You just move forward, right? Because you have to understand is there are some things here that as you move more and more to this history, as you're 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 years into this history, there is something that you can contribute that God has handpicked you for that you can do right now, right? Or that you can work on. That it may feel like it's like, gosh, there's no point of doing this, but I'm telling you, there is a point. There is something that God puts into your heart that you got to put your life into and say, wow, what is this? What should I do here? And people come against you. How do I know? Because they go against everything. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean everyone? No, it's just in life. Human psychology is people don't like change. So people don't like change. They'll find a reason not to believe in something. People don't like change. They'll find a reason not to go through more hardships and suffering because they don't want to go through change, right? We have to find what is it that lights a fire in your heart that you can work on and push forward on. And guess what? You're not perfect at it, which means you're going to make mistakes. And when you make mistakes, it doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that you're growing. You're learning as you go. It's just like YouTube. People are like, why would you do YouTube, Pastor Sky? You should just do lecturing, this, and this. You'd be far better, this, and this. People say also, oh, Pastor Sky, how come you're not doing spiritual? How come you're not talking about the Bible? Hey, Pastor Sky, how come you're not? Hey, Pastor Sky, how? You hear everything. If I listened to every single person, where would I be? I would have no channel, basically. We got to change the way we feel and think. I love everyone, but I don't have to love everyone's opinions or thoughts because it's just an opinion and it's just a thought, right? It's true. It's just an opinion and a thought. And you can't let those things take you off of where you want to go. Where some people might, I've seen this happen all the time. For some reason, a bunch of people think that you should be a full-time Providence person. You should be a head leader. You should be a pastor. What is that? That's just a thought. That's an opinion. You shouldn't let them force you into something you don't want. Now, if you're inspired by it, that's different. Like, oh, maybe. And then you got to pray about it and discern it. We have to be those, if you really, really want to be happy, it's not about being safe, living the safe life. The safe life is no mistakes and no failure, which means you never try anything. you just never do anything great because you just want to stay safe. And I really, really believe we have to go far beyond the safe mode, the safe zone. But we have to think about, far beyond that, what do I need to do? What does God want from me? You got to pray and ask God for a plan. You got to pray and see what God puts into your heart. You got to pray and get that inspiration from the Holy Spirit says, that's it. That's what we need. We need more artists. We need more singers. We need you to do this. We need you to be the person that does set design. We need you to be the person that makes the website. We need you to be the person that teaches the next generation about YouTube. We need you to do this and you to do that. It's different, guys. Every person is different, and there are so many things that we can do that everyone can do their own amazing thing. It's not about everyone believing in you. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You don't. You got to believe it yourself, and you got to believe and understand that if it's from God, you got to believe that it's God. You got to believe it. Because once you know that God is giving you the inspiration, you can't let people stop you. Right? Of course, we have to do things in a wise way. We're going to make mistakes along the way. We got to recenter ourselves when we go off path, right? We are. As we are so passionate about something, sometimes we get too passionate. Sometimes we get arrogant or stubborn, and then we go the wrong path. And once we realize this, what do? Then we have to recenter and get ourselves back to where it should be. There is so much that needs to be done in this pioneering stage, in this Providence history. We can't just let it go undone. We have to let it happen in the right way. And there is a reason why God chose every one of us. And there's going to be a bunch of us, like 3 or 4 of you want to do this. Then work with the 3 or 4 of you. That's great. And if people don't want it, that's okay. If people don't like it, it's okay. It's okay. Eventually, people will realize. If it's God's will, eventually people will realize. And that's the thing you have to take heart in. If you know God has inspired you for something, what's next? You got to push, grow, make mistakes, recenter, get back on the path, then push forward again. And we have to keep recentering ourselves. And I hope that all of you guys, with those passions and the things that you have, the Holy Spirit's going to put stuff in your heart. But don't let this wanting to be safe and not hurting or not making everyone happy, it's just not going to happen. Like I was a head leader before. If you try to make everyone happy, you will never get anything done, and you yourself will not be happy. You won't even get God's will done. Why? Everyone has different opinions. Everyone's subjective. When it comes to something subjective, look at elections, right? You have to go by majority. You have to go by something like that instead. Because why? Because not everyone believes the same way. Everyone has different thoughts. Like I'm eating a peach strudel right now, and some people who don't like peaches are not going to like it, but I love it. It's an opinion. It's okay. Let the people who like it buy it, and let the people who don't like it don't buy it, but don't force them to eat the peach strudel, right? And if you don't like the peach strudel, don't force people not to eat the peach strudel. Life is so, I would say, the amount of things we can do in our life is very limited because we're physical. And don't allow yourself to be caught up in just trying to be safe. Because safe people are never happy. They're never happy. Like getting to that peak, I'm so happy. They won't get there. And we have to be the ones that reach and extend to that higher level more than anything else. Okay? So that's kind of one of the thoughts I had in my mind, because it's really important. I really hope that people can find that path. That's your path. And once you find it, don't let people take you off it because of an opinion or a feeling. Right? Of course, in the end, if Sunseam says stop, of course, right? But when it comes to other people's opinions and thoughts, let them have their opinions and thoughts. It's okay. They don't have to believe and they don't have to agree. Even if just one person believes, that's enough. That's enough, right? Okay? And even if no one believes, if you really believe it's from God, then as long as you believe God is taking you in this direction, then go do it. I've seen so many people go off overseas, and then everyone says it's the wrong decision, but when they go over, become super successful, they come back as this great person in Providence, right? And that's why sometimes you can't listen to just listen to opinions and thoughts. It doesn't lead anywhere. Everyone is different, right? So we have to be those that understand very clearly and completely. Okay? All right, so that is my thoughts for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, and it gives you some food for thought too. And that means it's the end of the last segment for today's Tuesday podcast. Hope you guys really enjoyed today's segments. Have a wonderful and amazing day, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and feel your mind.
I'm burning with desire